Hi guys, today we're going to be talking about a certain pronunciation exercises. The first is we're going to be talking about word stress. And what is word stress? Word stress is your magic key to understanding spoken English. Native speakers of English use word stress naturally. Word stress is so natural for them that they don't even know they use it. Non-native speakers who speak English to native speakers without using word stress encounter two problems. One, they find it difficult to understand native speakers, especially those speaking fast. Two, the native speakers may find it difficult to understand them. So in this lesson, we will look at the most important aspects of word stress, followed by a short quiz to check your understanding. I will place the word stress or the word stress quiz in a link below this video. Now, let's continue with the next one, which is understanding syllables. Okay, so understanding syllables. A syllable is a unit of pronunciation that has one vowel sound and may or may not be surrounded by consonants. A syllable can form a whole word or part of a word. For example, there is one syllable in the word cat, two syllables in monkey, and three syllables in elephant. To understand word stress, it helps to understand syllables. Every word is made from syllables. Each word has has one, two, three, or more syllables. Let's take a look at this list. We have the word dog. Number of syllables, it only has one. Green. The word green has only one syllable. Okay, only one stop. Quite. Quite. Now, be careful because in Spanish, we tend to pronounce words just as we see them. For a person who speaks Spanish and doesn't know anything about English, would probably say quite, and that would be two syllables. But that is not the correct pronunciation. You know, the big difference between English and Spanish is that the words are pronounced in English. The words have a different sound, and what you see is not usually pronounced in the same way as you say it. Okay, so we have quite. The next one, notice the stops it has. Qua, yet. Qua, one, yet, two. Qua, yet. Two syllables. Notice the next one. Orange. Orange. Two syllables. Table. Table. Expensive. Expensive. Three syllables. Interesting. Interesting. Now we could say it with three syllables, or we could also say it with four syllables, which in that case would be interesting. 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 The next one would be unrealistic. Unrealistic. Four syllables. Unexceptional. Five syllables. Notice that with a few rare exceptions, every syllable contains at least one vowel, A, E, O, or O or U, or vowel sound. Now, what is word stress? That is our next section. In English, we do not say each syllable with the same force or strength. In one word, we accentuate one syllable. We say one syllable very loudly, big, strong, important, and all the other syllables very quietly. Let's take three words: photograph, photographer, and photographic. Do they sound the same when spoken? No, because we accentuate or stress one syllable in each word, and it is not always the same syllable. So the shape of each word is different. Listen to these words. Do you hear the stress syllable in each word? Okay, we don't hear it here because I think the sound is not working for some reason, but it would be photograph, photograph. In the next one, it would be photographer. This one, photographer. In this one, it would be photographic, photographic. Okay. So this happens in all words with two or more syllables: teacher, Japan, China, above, conversation, interesting, important, demand, etc. You see, you have etc., etc., or etc. That would mean the same in every word. Okay. The syllables that are not stressed are weak or small or quiet. Fluent speakers of English listen to the stressed syllables, not the weak syllables. If you use word stress in your speech, you will instantly and automatically improve your pronunciation and your comprehension. Try to hear the stress in individual words each time you listen to English. On the radio or in films, for example, your first step is to hear and recognize it. After that, you can use it. There are two very important rules about word stress. One word or one stress. One word cannot have two stresses. So if you hear two stresses, you have heard two words, not one word. The stress is always on a vowel. That's very important. The stress is always on a vowel. Why is word stress important? This is our next question. Word stress is not used in all languages. Some languages, Japanese or French, for example, pronounce each syllable with equal emphasis. Other languages, English for example, use word stress and pronouns differently, or different syllables with more or less importance. Word stress is not an optional extra that you can add to the English language if you want. It is part of the language. Fluent English speakers use word stress to communicate rapidly and accurately, even in difficult conditions. If, for example, you do not hear a word clearly, you can still understand the word because of the position of the stress. Thinking about the two words photograph and photographer. Look at this, photograph. Here, photograph. I make the emphasis here. Photographer, I will make the emphasis in the two. Now imagine that you're speaking to somebody by telephone over a very bad line. You cannot hear clearly. In fact, you hear only the first two syllables of one of these words. Photo, which word is it? Photograph or photographer? Of course, with word stress you will know immediately which word it is, because in reality you will hear either. You will hear photo, photo, photograph, photographer. Word stress where? Okay, let me see. Okay, where do I put word stress? There are some word stress rules about which syllable to stress, but the rules are rather complicated. Probably the best way to learn is from experience. Listen carefully to spoken English and try to develop a feeling for the music of the language. When you learn a new word, you should also learn its stress pattern. If you keep a vocabulary book, make a note to show which syllable is stressed. If you do not know, you can look in a dictionary. All dictionaries give the phonetic spelling of a word. This is where they show which syllable is stressed, usually with an apostrophe, just before or after the stressed syllable. Now, I don't look much into this, or I don't pay much attention to this, because I don't think this is really important. There are some rules, of course, that you can look later on, and I'm going to take a look. I'm going to give you a look at this. Word stress rules. There are two very simple rules about word stress. Number one word has only one stress. One word cannot have two stresses. If you hear two stresses, you hear two words. Two stresses cannot be one word. It is true that there can be a secondary stress in some words, but a secondary stress is much smaller than the main primary stress, and that is only used in long words. Second rule, we can only stress vowels, not consonants. Here are some more rather complicated rules that can help you understand where to put the stress. But do not rely on them too much because there are many exceptions. It is better to try to feel the music of the language and to add the stress naturally. Stress on first syllable. Rule. Most second syllable nouns. So in this case, we'll have present, expert, China, table. Most two-syllable adjectives will have the stress in the first syllable. Present, slender, clever, happy. Stress on last syllable. Rule. Most two-syllable verbs will have the stress on the second syllable. Examples: present, in this case it will be present, export, decide, begin. There are many two-syllable words in English whose meaning and class change with a change in stress. The word present, for example, is a two-syllable word. If we stress the first syllable, it is a noun, gift, or an adjective opposite of absent. But if we stress the second syllable, it becomes a verb, to offer. More examples: the word export, import, contract, and object can all be nouns or verbs depending on whether the stress is on the first or second syllable. Stress on the penultimate syllable. Penultimate meaning second from end. The rule is words ending in IC. Examples: graphic, they will have it in the first syllable. Geographic, it will have it in the second syllable. And geologic will have it in the second syllable. Words ending in shun and chun. Television, revelation. For a few words, native speakers don't always agree on where to put this stress or the stress. For example, some people say television and others say television. Another example is controversy and controversy. Controversy. D. Stress on antepenultimate syllable. Antepenulti, third from end. Words ending in CI, TY, PHY, and GI. Examples: democracy, dependability, photography, geology. Words ending in al, critical, geological. Compound words, words with two parts. For compound nouns, the stress is on the first part. For example, blackbird. We don't say blackbird, we say blackbird. Greenhouse, we say green. We stress in the first syllable, green. Green and then house. For compound adjectives, the stress is on the second part. Bad-tempered, bad-tempered. Old-fashioned, old-fashioned. For compound verbs, the stress is on the second part. Understand, understand. Overflow, overflow. Okay? And following this, we have a little quiz in which you have to decide what to use. Okay? You can do the quiz online or print it. The tests this will help you understand, or this will test your understanding of the word stress pages. For each question, the correct choice is on the one in which the stress syllables is capitalized, as in vocabulary. Can you pass me a plastic knife? What would you use, plastic or plastic? If you say plastic, yes, you're correct. I want to be a photographer. Photographer. What is it? The first one or the second one? Yes. If you say photographer, the second one, you're right. Which photograph do you like best? Which photograph do you like best? Which one did you choose? The first one or the second one? Okay. If you chose this one, yes, that's correct. He was born in China. He was born in China. What do you use, the first or the second one? Yes, this first one. Whose computer is this? Computer. Computer. Yes, this is the correct one. I can't decide which book to borrow. Decide. Decide. First or the second one? Decide. Second one. Couldn't you understand what she was saying? Understand. Understand. This one. We don't say understand, we say understand. Voting in elections is your most important duty. Important. 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 Important? No, important. We had a really interesting conversation. 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 Conversation, no, conversation. And last but not least, how do you pronounce this word? Pronounce? No, pronounce. Now we checked answers, and yes, we got it all correct. All right, this is all for today. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Have a good night. Bye bye.